Hey, welcome back to Viking Central. Steve with you, covering the post game of Patriots and Vikings of our second preseason game. And just want to cover some of the matchups that we talked about in the pregame show and also some highlights on some different notes that I took during the game and observations. So we couldn't pull it out at the end. Patriots end up coming out with the victory 20-12, but they also started their first team offense. So we saw a little bit of Drake May with that first series come out, and our defense, did an okay job because they forced a 3-and-out and got Drake May in that first team offense out of there. Um, I do want to thank our sponsors. That's Badass Wood Art. Please use code VC15 to get 15% off at any of those amazing different products that Luis and his team end up putting out from That's Badass Wood Art. I also want to thank Homage. Our codes or our link for Homage is up on the top of the screen. Please use that. That's one of the ways that you can support us. And then also SeatGeek. SeatGeek, we want to make sure that we give a shout out to them. They're one of our new sponsors that we have as well. Make sure that you enter code at Vike Central and get $20 off any $50 or more purchase. So that's SeatGeek for any, that's eligible, that code for any concerts, shows, or sporting events that you want to go to. So again, SeatGeek. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in to our very first matchup that we talked about earlier in the pregame today, and that was the battle of Max Brosmer and Brett Rippon. Okay, so Brett Rippon, he started off, he ended up coming in the second quarter with about 11 minutes left, and he went 7 for 11 for 83 yards. Yes, he had two drops by Lucky Jackson that we had someone mention. If he had those two back, he would have had 9 completions out of those 11 passes. But he did have a lot of screens in short yardage throws, nothing long. The two red zone attempts that Brett Rippon had, they just did not give the receiver any opportunity to catch the ball to result in any scores, any points on the board. And as far as Max Brosmer, he got the entire second half. I think that was good to see. And in his first series, he looked comfortable and confident, but then he ended up taking a big sack, and that ended up being a theme for Max throughout that second half. Taking big sacks, ended up being drive killers, and you just can't do that. Now, he's playing with, second, third string O lines. I think protection was definitely an issue. He'd snap the ball, and that Patriots defensive line was getting back there really quickly. Um, Towards the end of the game, 4th and 17 to Jayshon Jones and then to Tim Jones, back-to-back passes. That was like a 30-yard pass and then like a 17-yard out to Tim Jones. That was great. And then he had that dagger to Nesbitt in the middle of the field to get him down to about the 6. But then we have another false start that moves us back. Um, and then Miles Price. Miles Price, he hits him in the hands, and he tries to one-hand catch it for some reason. So again, it goes incomplete. We have one more shot at it, and then it ends up into an interception that almost was a strip, but they did the replay and called it a touchback. So as far as the battle between Max Brosmer and Brett Rippon here, one could argue that Brett possibly had a better day. But I think that's only because Max Brosmer was just constantly getting pressured. Um, Other than that, I mean, it's hard to say on this one. Brett just didn't give us a chance really to score some points when he got the opportunity. We were nowhere close. A lot of dink and dunk stuff from Brett. Max, you got to throw the ball away. You can't take sacks that are drive killers. We saw that last year with Sam Darnold and what that does to a team. Um, if I had to pick somebody, I might give the edge to Brett just on the smaller sample size that he played, even though he couldn't get it done in the end zone, in the red zone. Let's go ahead to our second battle, and that was Jeff Okudah, losing his grip on CB3. Dwight McGlothern possibly pushing him there too. I don't really have a winner or a loser on this one. It's hard to say because when I look at Jeff Okudah and he did not even get out there to really even play today. So Dwight McGlothern was out there, Makai Blackman. Makai Blackman maybe seems like he's taking a back seat. And Zamaya Vaughn looked really good today. Some notes I had on Zamaya Vaughn, constantly coming up as a good open field tackler, and had a pass breakup as well. Um, yeah, I mean, I thought he looked the part today, and he had 2 tackles on the day, just pretty solid. Um, Jeff Okuda, I think you got to show us more. I don't know why he didn't play today. I think that maybe tells us the coaching staff still has him pretty solid as the CB3. Okay, into punter Ryan Wright versus Oscar Chapman. So we talked about this earlier in the day, but Oscar Chapman got a couple punts today, and so did Ryan Wright. So they both got a pretty equal sample size. Now, when I take a look at Ryan Wright, the punts that he had a big return on that first punt, which he ended up pushing the guy out of bounds and getting a tackle, but that was a huge return. And part of that was it was like a 54-yard punt. But I mean, you line drive it back there to where our gunners weren't able to get back there in time to really kind of, fence them in. And it ended up in a big return. So how much do we put on Ryan Wright for that? His second one was a shorter one. It was okay, but I mean, we were kind of pinned back. We really need a long boomer punt to kind of get us out of a jam with that one. And he gave us a 45-yard punt when we were pinned back, almost to our own end zone. So we really needed a pretty good kick out of that one. And then if I take a look at some of the notes I had on Oscar Chapman, and you hear PA on the call with the banana ball, right? So banana ball, his first punt that he had, um, a small return. We had a penalty on that one on us, but it was a decent punt. His second one was a good punt. Again, kind of that banana ball thing, and I don't know if that's really making it difficult as far as it's coming to that punt returner to where they're not wanting to return the ball the way that it's rotating. But we didn't see a fair catch on that one, and we ended up getting a Vikes bounce for another 8 yards. So I did like what I saw from Oscar Chapman on that one. And I believe we had, yeah, I believe it was just those two. So I did kind of lean towards Oscar Chapman in this matchup today over Ryan Wright from what I saw. So, still maybe more of a stalemate just because they didn't get opportunities to kick or pin anyone into the other's end zone. But if I had to pick somebody, I would say Oscar Chapman. I like the job that you did today. Vikings wide receiver 5 and 6 positions. Kind of talked about it. Lucky Jackson had 2 drops today. Man, we thought he was looking to be a lock for one of those wide receiver 5 positions early in training camp. Then we saw Thayer Thomas kind of creeping in. But he had 2 drops today. I mean, you just can't do that. So he kind of disappeared a little bit during joint practices and had a couple drops. So now we're seeing it in this preseason game. Um, yeah, I think that maybe makes him slip down those rankings as well too. So we once thought that Lucky Jackson was going to be a pretty big lock in. Maybe not so much. When we take a look at some of the other wide receivers, Thayer Thomas, he had a nice catch before halftime. He didn't get a whole lot of opportunities today. As far as Thayer Thomas, um, he ended up having just 1 catch for 8 yards. The big ones were Tim Jones today. Tim Jones was really coming up big with a lot of catches, especially late in the game. Got a lot of opportunities with 5 catches, 68 yards. And then the other one was Jay Jones. He had 4 catches for 39 yards. So, I mean, those were our 2 big receivers that had the opportunity that really took their stock and went up. I did see, a couple drops from Tim Jones, but I mean, he made a lot more catches. Um, he made some good catches, good plays today. It's really hard to be too upset about that. And one I'll talk about when we're talking about wide receiver, because we're going to get into this as well too here in a little bit. Um, Miles Price, Miles Price. Okay. He had a couple good catches in this game as well. Only two catches for 11 yards, but had a couple good catches with his routes. He had one really good catch that was a longer catch that was called back because of a penalty. So that is one that got taken away from him. But we're about to get into. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just because I'm talking about it right now because it kind of lines up in that with that wide receiver six position. You know, Miles Price, you may be in the lead, maybe for punt return now. Almost got a touchdown. He returned a kickoff for 81 yards. That you didn't hear me wrong. A kickoff for 81 yards. And then he had a couple punt returns, one for 20 yards and another one for 13 yards. Those are good returns. That's good yardage to get off of returns. Sometimes you got to have the space. Silas Bolden didn't have the opportunity to maybe make a punt return, but the chance that he did get, he let one bounce that went another 10 to 15 yards to our 6 yard line and then pinned us back. You got to fair catch that. Don't put us in a position where now we're pinned back at our own 6 yard line. So I really think, in the return battle overall today, which almost ties back in to wide receiver 5 and 6, Miles Price might have played himself into being in that role, maybe for that wide receiver six position. If he can do the return game, that's a talker. Now, Silas Bolden, um, can we get him through on the waivers and the practice squad? That's going to be something that we're going to have to weigh and talk in the coming days, really. Um, so next matchup, we'll have to revisit that. We might be bringing in some. I think we almost have to bring in someone to at least take a look, especially with the Jalen Naylor situation. But we'll see where a receiver matchup kind of lies here this next week as well, and kind of think on that one a little bit more. But Miles Price, you definitely had your stock go up today, and Tim Jones, you had your stock go up today. Ty Felton showed us a couple catches for 32 yards, a circus pop-up catch. But yeah, Ty Felton showed us a little bit today too. But on the kick return game, he had that fumble. It looked like he was a full steam ahead, and then luckily for him, it was recovered by one of his teammates. On to our next matchup, Xavier Scott and Ty Chandler. Now, between these two, Xavier Scott, didn't have that great of a running day today. He was 10 carries for 28 yards. That's 2.8 yards a clip. Ty Chandler had three opportunities for 12 yards, for 4 yards. Not bad, but I mean, for Ty Chandler, but just didn't get as many opportunities. So I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to tell us, but I think that the coaches definitely wanted to highlight and give a bulk of carries to Xavier Scott to see what he has. He was better in pass protection at times today. But again, I just think that whole offensive line was kind of a sieve in that second half with Max Brosmer. He's good coming off of screens. Good catching the ball off screens, and then once he has the ball in his hands, like that, I mean, it's almost like he's looking for somebody to hit. Um, he's like a wrecking ball down there. But man, he does great with the screen game. And I think Xavier Scott did himself some favors in the screen game today, passing game, maybe not so much in the run game today. So still something to look at, but I do like what Xavier Scott brings us. We talked about our punt returner battle. Okay, matchup number 7, Elijah Williams. Taki Taimani played a good game today as well. He had a good run tackle in the first quarter, stopping the run, and then he had another play that I highlighted in the second half where he was blowing up the run in the backfield. I thought that was great. Also, Levi Drake Rodriguez did not play in this game because he's got an injury he's trying to come back from. Nothing major, but he's got something minor that he's dealing with. Um, but when I talk about Elijah Williams, man, great run stopper. You know, pass pro. I mean, he's getting pressure in the inside too. But just what I noticed is he's always a body, and they're plugging up the hole and doing great on the run. He had a couple consecutive run stops in the middle of second quarter that I really liked, where he was at least in on that tackle and that stop. So I thought that was great. Something that surprised me as well was Jonathan Harris. I thought Jonathan Harris, he's been in the league, I think, for about 7 years too, with a few different other teams. But Jonathan Harris did a good job in the run game, I thought, as well, plugging up holes. So he did stick out. He's not somebody that we were really talking about a lot, but I thought he had a good game. So I had that in my notes for him. Didn't really have anything big for Tyler Batty today. Um, as far as that goes on the defense for the linebackers, just nothing that really stood out to me about his play today. Anyways, not saying he played good or bad, just nothing that you know. Hey, I have to jot that down. Have to make a note. Gabriel Murphy, when we're talking about those linebackers, edges, um, man, big run stop in the red zone with Jay Ward coming in with the assist for a TFL. That was great to see. Um, when we go to the offensive line, we talked about who makes it out of Henry Bird, Michael Gonzalez, and Joe Huber. Henry Bird ended up getting an injury, limping off the field. I'm not sure how bad that injury is, but it is something to keep an eye on for his injury. So, does that possibly take him out of the running to maybe land if we keep 10 offensive linemen for one of those last spots? Maybe, because we might not have two, maybe only have one or none depending on what we keep. So something to keep an eye on. I don't, nothing really stood out to me with Micah Gonzalez and Joe Huber today. Like I said, I really didn't like our pass pro in the second half. Just, it didn't look good. And we weren't getting a whole lot of push in the run game either. Other names, Zamiah Vaughn, I talked about and played a good game. Tyler Batty didn't really stand out. Good or bad today for me. Khalif Hailasi, um, he had some plays here and there where, he maybe almost could have made a play, but Bo Richter had a really solid game, and he had a tip ball as well too, for an incompletion, and he was good in the run stop game, so a lot better game for him than what he had in the Texans. We saw different Patriots in this game. Again, talked about Drake May. We did a good job, kind of, kind of getting him off the field. After he was moving the ball a little bit on us, but we did get him off on a third down. And then Travion Henderson, he looks like he's going to be a good running back in the league. Had a touchdown in the first quarter. Um, yeah, Travion Henderson. He was breaking tackles on his way to the end zone and gashed us for an 11-yard gain at one point on a third down, 3rd and 10. Um, so yeah, I thought he did a great job as well. So um, other notes that I had on here. What else? I thought Nick Vanette, tight end, he had a solid game. Good out route catch that he had today. And then Jay Jones, like I said, he had a pretty solid game, and then we can't be upset about Will Reichard's game. Will Reichard he was 4 for 4 today. He's been able to make every kick. He's 6 for 6 right now in the preseason. So he made field goals from 34, 54, 47, and 27 today. That's great work. So that's what we want him to do, consistent. Will the Thrill is back. Let that hair grow. That's what we want to see. That's all I got today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to our pregame show and our postgame. We'll be bringing that all season long. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Homage, SeatGeek, and That's Badass Wood Art. I'm Steve. This is Viking Central. Thanks again. Skol Vikes. We'll see you next time.